Okay, so question 7 on the past paper kind of selection of questions sheet. It's quite a tricky one, this one. It is a previous SQA exam question. It's from quite a wee while ago, and there's quite a lot to this question. So I'm just going to talk you through it, and I'm going to use the actual question. I think that's probably only fair in this case. So we've got Secret Agent 004 has been captured, and his captors are giving him a 25mg dose of Truth Serum every 4 hours. So I'm just going to start off by writing that down. Every 4 hours we're getting 25mg of new serum going in. Okay. Now, it says in the question that 15% of the truth serum present in his body is lost every hour. Now, that's where the problem comes with this question. It makes it a wee bit more difficult. If 15% is lost, that means that we've got 85% remaining, or 0.85 if we think about the multiplier. But that's every hour, and we're only adding in a dose after 4 hours. So if we think about compound interest or compound percentages from last year, we need to deal with the fact that we're losing 15% every hour for 4 hours before we add in another 25mg. So the multiplier is going to become 0.85 to the power of 4, because that'll deal with the 4 hours between the doses. Okay, so we can use that in part A to say, well, how many milligrams of serum remain in the body after 4 hours immediately before the second dose is given. So it's really just, if we're losing 15% an hour over 4 hours and we started off with 25mg, what is left? So it's kind of a Nat 5 question, but it's kind of hidden within a recurrence relation question. And if we work that out, we would get 13.05, 015, and so on. So we could basically say 13.1 milligrams. Okay. Now, in part B, you obviously could have done part A the long way as well, kind of working out the 15% and taking it off, then working out 15% of the new amount and taking it off. In part B, it is known that the level of serum in the body has to be continuously above 20mg before the victim starts to confess. Now, we've not been asked to work out a recurrence relation yet. That actually doesn't happen until part C. And it's because in part B here, we need to think about what happens before the dose and after the dose. So when we get our first dose, the first time he's given the truth serum, it's 25mg. And then we've worked out in part A that just before dose 2 is given, he's only got 13.1mg in his blood. Okay, so we've got, it's dropped so significantly that it's now below this magic 20 that we're looking for. So from there, we need to say, well then, after dose 2, you're adding in a second dose, which is another 25 milligrams, so that would add up to 38.1 or 38.05 milligrams, depending on how accurate you are with your decimal places. So after dose 2, it's above the 20, but what happens after those 4 hours, just before you give dose 3? So just before you give dose 3, you'll have lost those 4 hours at 15% an hour on this new number, this 38.05 or 38.1, and we're going to get somewhere in the region of 19.8624. I did my calculations with 05, so if you've used 38.1, it might be slightly different, but we're in that region. So you can see that just before dose 3, we're below that magic 20mg value again. Now clearly after 3, if we're adding on another 25, then our dosage is going to be sitting at 44.8624 milligrams. Okay, and then it looks likely that just before dose 4, okay, then it will be above 20%, because look at how much it's jumped between just before dose 2 and just before dose 3, but we need to show it mathematically, we need to check. So we've got 0.85 to the power of 4 times that 44.8624, okay, and this time we would get 23.41. So it means that after 3 doses, it's continually over 20mg doses. That doesn't look right, that's because I've spelt it wrong. That'll be why. Try again. Never ask a math teacher to spell something. There we go. So after 3 doses, it is continually above 20 milligrams. Okay, and your communication is really important in recurrence relations questions in terms of making sure you've got kind of full sentences that are answering the question. So that's when they should start their interrogation. So after 3 doses. Then in part C, let UN be the amount of serum in milligrams in his body just after a dose. So we're looking at setting up the recurrence relation now. Hopefully that's not too complicated. You can see why the plus 25 would be there. And if I highlight this and said to you to evaluate that, that'll hopefully show you where that 0.522 is going to come from. Okay, and then finally part D, it's asking you about the maximum length. Anytime you're asked about a long-term situation with recurrence relations, okay, you're always thinking about the limit formula. And from the work I've seen, I'm sure you're pretty confident with that, so you can try and finish that off from there. Okay, if it does work out that the limit is going to be more than 55, then you're going to have to go back to your recurrence relation and use it to work out when it first goes above 55. But I would use the limit first to determine whether or not you need to do that, and then go back and work it out if necessary. I hope that helps, but if it doesn't, let me know and we'll finish off the question together.